So when I got here 6 years ago now, I had the opportunity to, before here, work in about 4 different high schools that have delivered 8 periods a year to kids, 8 courses, and we only gave 7. And I always questioned that, like why that was something that we signed on for. It really kind of limits the offerings to our students. A master schedule discussion really talks about the culture of what's important to us. The master schedule speaks to the way we value education and what we want to give it, what value we want to give that. So, and you're going to see this slide again later, right? And we want to try to give every possible opportunity to our students. I mean, the schedule right now is, going fine. There's really no, pressing need to change it, but we feel in the long term, and you'll see from the slides why, that it's really, the new schedule really gives a lot of our kids more opportunity. So this is the current schedule that we have now. It's a 7D2 schedule since 2013-14. And back then, even speaking to some people in the room here, it was a difficult change for them, right? To go from what they had before, which was almost 3 different schedules, right? To one, 7D2. But they acclimated and got used to it. Currently assigned 7 courses per year, 5 of those a day. The days rotate from A to G. You're all familiar with how that works now? Okay. And every day, 2 of those 7 get dropped. And they only have 5 courses, which are 60 minutes long. And here is a schedule of what the A to G schedule looks like. 60-minute courses, 27-minute lunch, and there's 60-minute blocks. And there's also this period in the middle here, which has lunch and homeroom, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay? So what are the current implications for the schedule that we have and why we're standing here and doing all this now, right? We talked, students can only take 7 courses a year, right? Most other courses can assign 8. And that gives advantages to them in many ways, and we'll talk about those as we go along, right? Right now, over the years, we've seen lower enrollment in elective courses in arts and academics. So about 3-4 weeks ago, I'm standing with Dr. Connors here at a football game on the track, and it was, I don't know, a timeout or something like that. We look back and the band's playing, and Tom's like, I remember when that band was 200 kids strong, and now it's about 100. And this is one of the reasons why it is lower enrolled. Not to mention some courses that we have on the rosters that we just can't offer, and we'll talk more about that later. But right now we're seeing lower enrollments in arts and some auxiliary academic courses that kids like to take, but we don't have the opportunity to offer them. Right? Creativity of our courses, like I just mentioned. And we have courses on the books that we had to eliminate and can't offer them because we don't have the room in the schedule, the 4 extra courses over the high school career to be able to take. And for me, it goes back also to, if you choose, college and career competition, right? So other area schools and other schools across the state and other states, can take up to 160 credits, right? We limit our kids by not allowing them to do that. So those are the reasons why we brought this up to the school, we brought this up to the board, and we've had a 6-month conversation about this process. Any questions about this so far? And again, we're a small group, so I figured, no, good? Good. So again, there's a recurring theme here, right? You're gonna see reasons for discussing new schedule, more options in electives, right? Strengthening our elective courses, more creative courses for our kids, just like the last one. So less movement in the hallways. Right now we move quite a bit, and it's a short amount of time. So to try to get from this side of the building to that side of the building in 5 minutes is 6 minutes? 6 minutes is ridiculous. So, and there'd be less in the new schedule, less times during the hallways. Okay. And there's class time period benefits, right? Looking for more time for science, some special needs, more time for AP classes, some extra help, more time for phys ed. So with a longer period, although some people might think it's more stressful, right? We'll talk about that in a little while. There are opportunities for benefits. All right. And the current rotating schedule, I was talking to Mr. Horan in the back there, he said when they switched, and even now, it's kind of confusing, right? Some of the people on the committee, the teachers committee that we had together, which was about 30 people, said I have people on a weekly basis, kids on a weekly basis, walk in the wrong class and say, what day is it? And they have to walk to to the other class. So it's still a little confusing, and it's rotating, right? And we would like to offer and be able to research a transition program for 9th graders and 12th graders. So we have 3 different middle schools. When they all come up here to the high school, they're in one school. And that transition to middle school, from middle school to high school, sometimes is difficult for kids. So there are programs out there, classes, so to speak, that are transition classes that allow kids to understand what it takes to be a high school student, right? Organizational skills, how to deal with social media, study skills, the habits like that. So we would like to be able to research and put in place a 9th grade transition program, and then a 12th grade transition program. So what is it going to look like to be either a college student or a career man or woman? So we would like to be able to research those programs and be able to do that. These are terms that many people are using, and if you follow social media or even watch TV, health and wellness is a hot topic, and very deservedly so. And the Board of Ed is on the same train, but they don't just talk the words. They have health and wellness in every aspect that they try to do. We have a health and wellness committee for our staff members that we give many benefits for. We have a lot of health and wellness initiatives in our schools, and this would allow time for us to be able to deal with that a little better. Okay, so the New Jersey Department of Education has parameters for how long classes should be and how long the minimum they could be for us to be able to achieve credits. So all this is what it says, and this is what it means. You're either taking 40 minutes 5 times a week to get 5 credits, or 80 minutes 5 times a week for 90 days to get 5 credits. So double the time, half the days, okay? Most credits, so the prescribed courses in the state are 120 credits to graduate, meaning 4 English classes in your high school career, 4 PE classes, 3 math, 3 science, 3 social studies, etc. Right now, Piscataway High School offers 135 credits. This schedule will allow students to take 160 credits, right? Which again would give them an advantage. So, staying in the NJDOE parameters, there's only a few types of schedules that would allow us to get either that 40 minutes a day or 80 minutes every other day, or half the year and half the year. Okay? Either an 8-period day, 40 to 45 minutes, and the research shows that that's not great because by the time you get in and settle down, there's not a lot of time left. And one of those 8 periods a lot of times is lunch, so you're back down to 7. Rotating block schedule, that's what we currently have, and we already talked about some limitations. A semester block. So a semester block schedule would be, you have 4 specific classes in the fall, September to the end of January, every day, the same classes every day. And then like a college campus, in the spring, you have 4 different ones, right? So the research shows that that's not great for kids who aren't advanced. Kids who are advanced are able to retain information longer and generalize that information from one subject to another, and not have to be retaught skills when they have that same course or the next level course 6 months or possibly a year later, right? For example, if you have Spanish 1 in the fall, your freshman year, you might not have Spanish 2 till the spring of your sophomore year in a situation like this, and you lose a lot of stuff. If you have Algebra 1 in the fall of one year and Algebra 2 or Geometry in the spring of the following year, you're going a whole year without math instruction, right? I was a principal in a school that had this type of schedule, and I changed the math and English to go every other day because I felt that that was really important that kids had those skills. Now again, for kids who are advanced in AP kids, this is great because they can retain the information, right? But if you look at any percentage of advanced kids, it's not the majority of a percentage in any high school. Okay? And experience. So as a principal, it's one thing, but also my kids. I have 3 kids. Everybody gets sick of me talking about my kids because I talk about them a lot. I have 3 kids, and my son academically is brighter than my girls. Right? My girls do a lot of things better than him, but academically he's better. He's stronger than my girl. So this schedule is great for him. It's not for my girls. I have 2 girls now who are in high school, and they have semester block schedules, and it's not great for them. They have to relearn things for like 3 or 4 weeks the next time they have that math or English class. And then again, the different type of schedule that'll be able to fit in our desires is an AB block, where again, you have them every other day all year, and then you have that continuity. Questions? Here is the time schedule here, right? So we can move this homeroom period probably to the end of block 1, just so kids don't have in their mind, it's just homeroom, I could be late, you know, things like that. But that's flexible. But, you know, you have an 80-minute time for block 1, and now we have an 8-minute passing time we're able to squeeze into the schedule of the day, which again talks about that stress and wellness of getting to from one class to the other. Talks about the teachers being able to just breathe in between classes. Here we go, block 3. So block 3 has lunch built into it. So either students would have block 3, they would have lunch the first 32 minutes of block 3, and then class the next entire part of the block, 80 minutes, or 80 minutes of class and then lunch at the end of that. Now, a lot of schools who have this schedule have 3 lunches. They have an A lunch, a B lunch, and a C lunch, and that B lunch interrupts class. So you would have English, you'd have 40 minutes of English, lunch, and then go back for another 40 minutes of English. So we were able to stay away from that because that's not a great setup. And we're really happy that we're able to do that with Sodexo, with our administration, with everybody in the lunchroom. It really works out well. So, and then again, 8 minutes passing to block 4, and another 80 minutes for block 4. Okay. And here's what a sample schedule for a student might look like. Again, we can move this homeroom to the end, but they might have science and gym, blocks 1 and 2, a lunch, and then social studies the rest of the block, and then they could have some kind of elective. That's a day. The next day, they would have 4 different courses in a different order. And then the next day would be an A day again. All right, so at the end, students will have 4 blocks in a day. They won't rotate. If they have English first block, they'll always have English first block. And they'll have different courses on an A day and a B day, and they'll have 8 courses total, not including lunch.
So what happens with holidays and stuff? In other words,
So,
on like one day.
right. So holidays or snow, let's put a snow day in there, right? So if we're snowed or a holiday falls on an A day, the next day we come back as an A day. So we'll never have 2 B days in a row. We have to make sure that instruction is equitable. Okay? And the kids will know that, parents will know that. And when, you know, I don't know if we would get that out every time, but they would get that, they would get used to that. To where if we're out on one day. And at the beginning of the year, Dr. Connors, we would schedule the entire year and they would know A or B day. Right? In Genesis, there's a way to do that. And then when we have a snow day, our data manager, when she goes in and puts the snow day, she'll change the next day to that day it was supposed to be. And ensuingly, it will change the whole year. Okay? So, we feel very strongly the goals that we set out to achieve, we achieved with this new schedule. Right? We're allowing them to take more electives over the high school years. Now, we don't want to say we're allowing them to take 4 more electives, because one of those might be the transition program we talked about. Right? We're not sure how that's going to look yet, but there'll be at least 3, if not 4 more electives. Right? Strengthening participation in our elective courses. We're allowing kids to take more things. More creative offerings, yes. You know, upper level academic courses if students choose to do that. Right now, we have, which is a perfect example, we have students take Spanish throughout the K-3 schools all the way through middle schools, yet we only have about 18 kids in AP Spanish. Of all the kids we have, 500 kids we have in our senior class, and we have only about 18 of them taking AP Spanish. So this would allow for those kids, if they really like language, right? If they really like that, to be able to take that. That's one example. And right now with I don't have this up here because I don't want to blame the academies, but our academies, if you're an engineering student in our academies, we tell you what 4 electives you have to take. Engineering 1, AutoCAD, Principles of Engineering, right? So that kind of eliminates, so those kids can't take band. In this schedule, they'll be able to, right? Or ceramics, or something less stressful that they might enjoy, okay? And it'll be able to increase our college articulations, right? So we think it achieves those goals, right? Other benefits, right? So if a student happens to want to take 4 AP classes, right? they might be able to take a study hall to be able to have 80 minutes in a day to be able to just focus on homework and study. And we're going to really try to make sure that teachers in there are able to help all the students. And it's not just I'm going to sit and grade papers, and there might be time for that, but the expectation is that they're helping kids. Right? Less movement in the halls, yes. Right? Easier fit for students interested in our co-op program. So our co-op program is if students want to get a job, they can get it on their own or they can get it through the school. They could leave school early, which would be maybe 4th block, and they'll get credits for being in our co-op program. They have a paper to write, they have to, their employer has to fill out paperwork, but they'll get credits for working. So this is a better fit. Right now, the way we rotate, it's kind of messy for kids to be able to fit into that program. So a lot of kids don't take it. But a lot of kids do like that program because if they're going to go to work, they might as well get credits for it. Increase early release for senior students. So if you are able as a senior to meet the course requirements that you have, and you have on an A day, you have courses that, you have 4 courses, and on B day, you don't need that 4th block course. An early release allows kids to leave, sign out of school and be done. It's not the co-op program, but go do what they need to do. Again, I'll talk about my son. My son was home at 1 o'clock every day, and he was able to go to work by 2 o'clock, where his classmates were still in school. Or he was able to take care of himself and take a nap, or whatever it may be. It really helped him with his stress management to be able to leave that. Right? So we have, how many kids do we have early release this year? 14. So we would see that number increase if students were able to have this 8th class per year and continue to meet the requirements. Like I said before, the ability to research a freshman transition program and a senior transition program includes some service learning in there, which I think is really important for everybody to be able to go serve and talk about high school readiness. Since the inception of this, our process, we started about 6 or 7 months ago. We formed a committee at the school. We have a lot of staff members involved. They took it out to their colleagues, brought back questions. We talked to kids, they brought back questions. We have anecdotal information from parents over the years. So these are some frequently asked questions we want to make sure that everybody is clear on, especially the people who are home now. So adding another class would be more stress for students. The point is to not to add another stressful class. Not to add that 5th or 6th AP class. Like we don't want that. We want the kids to be able to take courses that interest them, right? Or maybe less stressful, maybe finds their passion in something. So the counseling department will work with each individual student to make sure when they put their requests in, they're not trying to kill themselves with this extra class that they're able to take. Oh my God, I can get 3 more credits for college, right? The second lunch is late. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it if we have the schedule, right? We'll still have the breakfast program, 8 minutes in between classes. They can have a snack. Teachers are probably going to have a snack. It's just people will get used to it. From the time they're in kindergarten, now everybody, they'll be used to this soon. They've eaten lunch with their grade, right? Even in high school. The 9th graders eat with the 9th graders, 10th graders eat with 10th graders. So we've heard a couple of questions from students. Well, I don't like that, but it's part of the process to change, right? So longer period structure. Yeah, 80 minutes is longer. We will work in the Board of Education. When I did this presentation at the meeting this month in November, made a very strong commitment to teacher training, teacher hours over the summer, adjusting the curriculum to be able to make these classes, the time frame of these classes, doable for kids to be able to really get to dive deep into the themes and understand more. So,
Frank,
yeah, sure.
Because that was actually brought up a Board of Education member that in his career was a teacher. And so you're going now to 3 80-minute classes, or 40-minute classes. So it's not only a transition for students, but for the teachers in terms of their preparation. And so you had to build in, had to consider, are the teachers going to get the appropriate time they need?
And that was a big part of the committee work that we have done for the past 6 months. And we heard that all through. It's a different structure. I can't take my lesson plans that I've been doing for the past 4 or 5 years and just do them again. They'll have to adjust them. But we'll give them time and we'll make sure that this isn't too stressful or not manageable for them as well. Longer passing time and a little longer lunch, that was positive. Okay, early release. You guys understand that? Because we had a couple of questions that came through that it didn't seem like people understood what the early release was, right? One of the questions came, and this is for the people at home. If we have all seniors and juniors leaving an early release, what do the other 1,100 kids do? And that's not the way early release works. Early release is if you don't need classes, you're able to leave to go to work or do other things. And, the question was dealing with a student absence. Okay, if a student is absent on a B day, what happens? They're going to have to make up that work. Right now we have a day when, if they're absent for 2 days, they have 2 school days to make up that work. Am I correct? So it'll be the same type of thing. And the counselors and teachers will work with the kids because they know they're missing a double class. More questions. Okay, so there were some staffing questions that I received, right? Are we going to need more or less teachers? And when we were able to run a mock schedule last year of this and run numbers and things like that, I wouldn't be standing up here if we needed 10 more teachers, right? Or I wouldn't be standing up here if we needed 10 less. It's really important that we're able to run the schedule the way we can, and the students will be spread out. So the next one, if I have 5 classes now and I have 125 kids, if I have 6, I'm going to have 150 as a teacher. Well, there's not enough kids in the school to do that, right? So the kids, there'll be more sections offered of an English 9. So the kids will be spread out more. And who makes the equity in the schedule? Teachers have 5 classes, now we're going to have them all have 6. Well, some teachers already have 6. This actually brings equity for teachers in the school. Understanding the scheduling process. One of the questions I got over email was, who schedules these kids to take these extra classes? And a quick understanding of how the Genesis system works, because that's what you have at home, and that's what we also use to schedule our kids. The counselors meet with the students. Each counselor enters all the requests the student has the year before, and then Teresa Edmondson here counts up the numbers of requests they have, assigns teachers to the amount of courses that we need for English 9, English 10, 11, and we have all the courses chosen by the kids and assigned by, and then you press a button and the machine scatters the kids around in different classes, right? And what you're hoping for is about a 92-93% success rate, which means 93% of your kids have 100% of their classes full, and then the counselors go in and hand schedule the rest, right? If you have like a 75% success rate, you're going to go and do it again because you're not going to hand schedule 25% of the kids. So that's how the scheduling works. It's not a pick and choose of who schedules. Who will teach the creative courses that we talked about? Well, it's up to department chairs, and they'll figure all that out and who's qualified. All right. One of the questions was attracting and keeping staff members. Wouldn't they want to go to neighboring districts if, in fact, they have better schedules? We feel very strongly, not only from our committee work, but from the equity aspect in the school, that this allows teachers to have time to themselves every day. They'll have an 80-minute prep every day. They'll have a little bit of a longer lunch. And this makes their work day much more palatable for them. Some teachers right now, the way the schedule rotates, teach 5 blocks all in a row, and they only have 28 minutes for lunch. So this is actually a better schedule for them, having time for themselves every day, and helps them with their stress management. So I showed this slide before. Why all this? Right? We want to challenge. This is what we believe in, right? We want to challenge our kids and prepare them for life after high school. We want them to take more arts and electives and understand their passions, really find what interests them. And for me, when I was a principal and now, high school is a time for kids to take chances now. It's a time to experiment and experience different things that they would have to pay $2,500 in college to do, right? Because you're taking credits and you're paying for them. So, and we want to give every possible opportunity to our students. Dr.
What other area high schools that
Sure.
are similar in size do this?
Sure. So all of the Woodbridge Township schools, so Woodbridge, Colonia, Kennedy, South Brunswick, they have actually the AB. So Woodbridge, Colonia, Kennedy have the AB, not the AB, the semester block, right? I agree, right? South Brunswick has the AB block like this. One of the teachers teach here. Her kids go there. She says they love it, and it really helps out. Monroe has it. and other surrounding counties, Hamilton, West Windsor, things like that. But they are bigger schools that be able to do this. And then multiple schools down by me. I live in Burlington County, and a lot of them have block scheduling where it's 80 or 83-minute classes. And that is the presentation. Again, if you have questions, we're here to answer them for you. And we really appreciate you taking the time. Again, I know it's a busy week. And thank you very much.